Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Mobby. We're back with more One Piece with the deck profile of the Purple Monkey D. Luffy. The last one I did on this channel was in fact another one of these, but that was when the game was in the state of 4.5. Now that the new set has dropped, OP05, and it's been a couple weeks, everyone's had a lot of cards to be able to get, through bulk buying, whatever, TCG, boosters. Here's another one. So let's go and get started. And just so you guys know, this is my own creation. Did not go online to look for this one. And yeah, remember, feel free to just add or take out whatever you feel like. Also, there's going to be no queens in here. I just haven't been able to purchase them. And I kind of don't want to. They're like, what, 40 bucks a piece? So let's start with the leader, Monkey D. Luffy. So, yeah, you may add one card from the top of your life cards to your hand. If you have 0 or 3 or more Dawn, you may add up to one Dawn card on the field instead as active. So, really important. Strong leader, very strong ramping. It doesn't require anything but your own life to ramp, which is very good for this character. So on turn 2, whether or not you went first or you go second, you usually always want your starting hand to have 4 drops or 5 drops, so you can ramp up and drop something very powerful on your first turn that you're able to attack. That is usually the strategy of the leader. And then whether or not you want to ramp up on your next turn depends on what you have in your hand. So let's get started. Let's start with the attackers, right? These are your bread and butters. These are primarily going to win you the game. So we have 4 page 1s. Very strong. They have a counter, and once again, this is going to be one of your very few 4 drops that you're going to have. So if you have ulti in your hand, the 2K counter ulti, you'll be able to play both that and page 1 on your first turn that you could attack. We are running 4 of these guys. Very powerful. Next up is polys. Pretty much almost the staple of these. These allow you to ramp up and destroy enemies. If you have 8 or more Dawn, and you have to rest too, so basically you have to have 7 Dawn when you activate him, but then you end up getting 9 later on. Should I get rid of the autofocus? Sorry, I'm going to get rid of the autofocus. I think that's pretty annoying. Okay, cool. So yeah, the autofocus, it just did it way too much. So yeah. And if you have 8 or more Dawn, KO. So it's really good. This deck doesn't really have anything like lowering cost or anything like that. But killing a 4-drop and then just getting a good body on the board's pretty good. So I recommend running 3 to 4 of these polys. In this deck, we have 3. Next up, a little bit of a maybe to your deck, right? A little bit of a maybe. This is Miss All Sunday. So she kind of fulfills the role of a 5-drop here. Except it's a little weaker, does not have a 1k, and the on play, sure, it lets you ramp up, but I primarily want to try her out because she allows you to draw a card. Doing so is really important for this deck. So if you're running a really bad hand, I would maybe try these, or you can cut them out completely. But yeah, I do that also because the trigger's decent, right? -2 Dawn to play this card. Not the worst, we're only running 2 as experimental. Now, something in the deck you might not have expected. I'm running some Rush Luffys from the Water 7 Straw Hat Crew archetype here. On play, -1 Dawn. Trash 1 character with a cost of 5. So you can already see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have a lot more later. There's a ton of 5 drops in here to enable this Luffy to get out there and rush. I really love using the Rush red cards, and I feel like Luffy kind of needs them. So these are surprise rushes. So there's going to be lots of 5 drops in here. So I'm running 2 of these. Might end up doing a 3rd one. Who knows? Maybe I'll even take out one of these. You can just swap them out, depending on how you like it. All right, next up, we're running 4 of these. Eustace Captain Kids. Very necessary for this deck. On play, and the next turn, when you attack, get rid of 1 Dawn, and your leader gets 1,000 power during the start of this turn. Your leader isn't necessarily vulnerable. Like, he's not weak. He could attack. He has 5,000. He has 5 life. But you definitely do not want to take damage if possible, which is why this deck's going to be running a lot of 2k counters, as you'll see. Because for your combo to work off, and you don't want to be at a deficit, you really need to not lose any life before you can remove it yourself manually. And if you get to the late game, you're just going to have all those extra Dawns too. So very freaking powerful. He pretty much acts as a blocker as well if you use him to attack, because your opponent is most likely going to want to get rid of this half the time. So absolutely running 4 of these. And if you play your cards right, you might even be able to play this on turn 3. So turn 1, 1 Dawn. Turn 2, 3 Dawn. and then you add one more with your ability, and then your third turn, you go up to 3, 4, 5, plus your leader ability, and then it brings you down to 3 health. That's not a problem at all, but then you get this out. Very, very, very strong if you have this in your starting hand. So yeah, 100% needed. Next up, we're running 2 of these Urishimas. Let's say you don't get one of these, but you do want a strong board presence. You're going to want something that's a 7-drop. It's a little versatile as well with the 1k counter, so, you know, feel free to add these. And then finally, the big boss of the deck. I'm running 2. Feel free to add 3. I don't know about 4, but 3 is pretty good. You know, not searchable by any of the current Luffy things out here right now, but it's kind of like just a strong card in general. On play, -5, KO somebody that's a 6, and then you gain Rush. Just like with the 6-drop Luffys I have here with Rush, these are just 2 more Rush cards, so leading you up to 4. Really, really, really powerful. I don't see why you never add these, and they're pretty cheap to buy online. So go ahead and grab these as well. Now we're going for the blockers of the deck. So we'll start with 3 Wires. They're not particularly strong, but they do have a 1k counter, and if you end up getting a bad draw, at least you have this. So when you return a card back to your hand with the various ways you can do it here, you'll be able to cycle through. So it's not the best, not the worst, but it's a pretty solid card, especially because it comes inside the ST10 deck itself. So pretty cool. Next up, we're running 4 of these kid blockers. Absolutely really needed with this deck as well. 5, 6, 1 counter, blocker. When a Dawn is added to your hand, from your field and returned to your Dawn deck, add up to 1 and set it as active. The most important part here is it sets it as active. So there's a lot of ways to retrieve mana back. And once you do, you're going to be able to use it for even more stuff to play or continue putting it on leaders or characters to attack. And it's a strong blocker as well. So another freaking good kid card. Almost every kid card in this whole OP05, 4-3, whatever, they're pretty good, right? Most of them are pretty good. So absolutely get 4 of these. And now for the last blocker of the deck. I'm running 3 of these Jinbeis. Now, this isn't the strongest Jinbei. However, it could be strong in the right situations, and it's a 5-drop, which will enable the rush, the 6-drop Luffy. So 5, 6, 1, blocker for 6. That's like not the worst, but then if you have 10 or more Dawn, so if you go late game with this, this will be a 5, 7 drop. So yeah, late game, okay blocker if you need one, but primarily going to be for the counter and for the enable of the rush Luffy. So those are the blockers of the deck. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Running 10 blockers. And then for attackers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 attackers. 19 attackers. Here we go for the 2k counters. We'll start with the Khalifa. When attacking, -1 Dawn. Draw 2 and trash 1. So this card will once again act as a sort of blocker if you're able to get it on the field turn 2. Simply because your opponent does not want to give you card advantage. So draw 2 and trash 1 and the -Dawn 1, which will work with a lot of the other combos you have here. Absolutely run 4 of these, really powerful. If you don't end up using it, it's a 2k counter. Don't worry about it. Next up was ultis. We talked about the page 1. Very strong combo in a lot of purple Luffys these days. On play, -1 Dawn to summon 1 page 1 with a cost of 4 or less. So pay, turn 1 or turn 2. You'll be able to get one of these guys out plus a page 1. Amazing strong combo. Next up, for another 2k, we got X-Drake here. On play, -1 Dawn. They trash 1. I don't primarily use this ever for the on play. Only for the 2k or for the 5-drop Luffy enabler. Next up, a little bit of experimental. We're trying out Miss Double Finger Zala. So it's pretty weak, but great 2k counter. And I don't really care about the ramping, but it is a trigger. So we have a couple of trigger cards in here. You can play this card, just in case. Next up, we have Franoskes. Franoskes, you might be able to use them. I haven't really used them as his ability, but primarily, once again, for the 5k drop enabler for Luffy and 2k counter. That's pretty much it. And then finally, your action cards. I'm only running 3. Blast Breaths. So on counter, -1 Dawn, then you get 4,000 power. A very, very, very strong. Highly recommend you at least run 2 of these in your deck. Very good. Okay, so that is the deck, guys. And I hope you guys, had some fun looking at what I've got. Let's see how many 2K counters we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Most decks average around 10 to 12. This is 18. Only because, once again, for your game plan to work, you want to go late game as quick as possible, and you don't want to take any damage because that will stop you from using your power effectively, which is why there are so many 2K counters that keep you safe. And if you do get late game, you're going to have these guys on the field anyway, so you don't need to protect them from a lot of stuff, just your life points. So yeah, this is it. This is primarily drop a 4, drop a 5, drop a 7, drop 9, etc. So yeah, one of my favorite leaders to come out from the sets, and I hope you guys enjoy. Once again, this is not set in stone. Remove cards, add cards, multiples of 3, multiples of 4. This is just one run. This is just one deck list that I've been running. So if you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really liking the leader. Thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye.